Hi, welcome to Allergy Dragons podcast. My name is Martha Morgan. I am your host. If you don't know who I am, I'm a specialty diet and allergy chef, and I happen to have celiac disease, a couple allergies. But my biggest claim to fame is raising a child that is now 21 years of age with over 30 food allergies and celiac disease. And I am super excited. And I know I say that about every single guest, but I really, truly mean it. This person I haven't gotten to talk to in forever. I mean, it feels like forever, but it's been I think 2 years, honestly, but it's just so cool. We're going to have her introduce herself here shortly. But before we jump into this episode, a quick disclaimer. The views expressed here on our show are the personal opinions and life experiences of ours and our guests. We are not healthcare providers or doctors. Please take advice from your healthcare professional for any diagnoses or changes to your healthcare plan. So we're going to get ready to jump into this episode. So I have Lindy here from the Allergy Table. She is in the UK, and we have known each other online for roughly, I think about 5 years or something like that, about that, give or take. And so Lindy, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi. Well, thank you very much for having me on as well. You said, we haven't spoken for a while, and we've known each other online for a long time. You were the first person really to push me into the YouTube space, and I still can't even remember that time in my life where I was YouTubing videos probably once a week. That's completely not my life anymore, but you really helped me put myself out there, and you kind of were like, you know what, I do it, and yeah, it's scary, but you might as well. And so that really encouraged me to just go, why not? So that was, yeah, that was great. But anyway, I'm Lindy. I run the Allergy Table online, and I have a blog as well, and a YouTube account, and hopefully, in the next few weeks, a podcast. So that would be, yeah, that's really great. But I have anaphylaxis, eczema, asthma, environmental allergies, and a host of other health issues. But I was diagnosed when I was 3 months. My mom says later than that. I say 3 months because obviously I remember. But it is younger than 6 months. So yeah, and I am now 31 years old, going on 32. So I have had allergies for 30 years, basically. So, a long time. And the allergy world is very different to what it was 30 years ago. So my Allergy Table blog and Instagram was basically built on feeling alone for most of my life, because when I was diagnosed 30 years ago, there was no one like me. There was no one in my school like me. There was no nut-free schools. There was no, there was nothing the way it is now. And I sat on my own every day in primary school, at lunch, even if we had food demonstrations or anything like that, I was always alone. I never got to eat it. Even if technically I could eat it, I wasn't allowed, because what if? So I grew up with not food fear, but food isolation. So I never actually liked to eat in front of people because of that. I literally sat on the allergy table. That's what they named it, which is why I started the allergy table. But it was birthed out of feeling alone and never wanting to feel alone. So my main thing of what I put out is things where, do you ever think this, or I think this? So if you do, you're not alone. I want people to know that what they go through, the anxiety, the humor, anything that they're going through within the allergy world is not crazy. It's not weird. They are not alone. So that means I do put myself out there, and I do embarrass myself online a lot and share things about me that might not resonate with some people, but it's to allow one person out there to think, oh wow, okay, I'm not alone. And yeah, so basically the main thing is just for kids to grow up, adults to thrive, feeling like they're not alone and they're not by themselves at a table for the rest of their lives.
That's awesome. So much into that, what you just said. And yeah, I hated the allergy table, and I never had to grow up at one, raising a child. So we have what they call the peanut-free table here, which doesn't really get rid of everything. And I see a resonating factor for a lot of people that were born with allergies, food allergies, having raised a child, because I got mine later in life. I was an adult already, but that's been a whole nother thing. But having to go from being a child to an adult, and you already have those struggles because you don't know really who you are. I always say like the 20s are just kind of like a jumble. And then by the time you're 30, you're like, what was I doing? So, 30 years of having an allergy, an anaphylactic allergy, and growing up that way comes with a whole set of baggage in itself, let alone anything else that goes on in our daily life, because we're just like everybody else. We have food allergies, but we're people. So we've had all these other different things we've had to deal with. So you explain that eloquently, to say the least. And I'm so excited to have you back online to see you, because I've missed your face.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm really happy to be back. I think the online space can be quite hard, especially I think during the pandemic, there was a lot, and I know you know this, there was a lot of people who have allergies who've never been on the online space, who got an influx of lots of different platforms now. And they, we had a bond. So I met a lot of people during the pandemic who were new to the Instagram allergy world. And, it was great. It was wonderful that everyone was at home. I did a lot of online Zoom meetups and things like that, and I really loved it. But when life went back to life, I think it fizzled. And I think the creative spark, the creativeness of it fizzled, especially for me. I was like, I don't know what to do because there's not that many people online anymore. So I don't know what to post, what to say, what to do. And then Instagram, social media kind of went into a space where more follower based, more, getting a community, getting this. And I like followers. Like, that's great. Like, I like to know that my work is working. I'm still a creator in that sense. So I like to know that. But I think it lost the humanness of it all. And that for me was really hard. And then I was going through some struggles in my personal life. And I was just like, I can't show up the way I want to show up because I'm not eating out. I'm not going out. I'm not dealing with my allergies at all. Like worse than when the pandemic was there. Like I literally was not even thinking about my allergies anymore. So I couldn't really, like, what could I offer people? So now I feel like right now, because I feel really happy and I feel like my life is in a direction that I feel really like that hopeful about, I'm like, okay, now I can show up. Now I can be creative. Now I have so many ideas coming into my head because I'm really, I don't know, I'm embracing who I am, and I don't have to be somebody else in the space to get followers and to get this. I'm like, no, who am I? Like, what do I want to show up as, and how have I lived my allergy world? Like, how have I done that? And if it doesn't work for some people, cool. But if it works for some people, that's what I want. And the biggest thing is, like we always say, right, when you start a platform, especially 10 years ago, which is when I started Instagram, it's like, as long as you can help one person, like that's everything. And I feel like I have helped at least one person in 10 years. So whatever is after that is just a bonus.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that you brought a really great point to it, because sometimes we get so caught up in the fact of that we have allergies, and that's why a lot of people do start gravitating to us. But we're so much more than that. We are people. And sometimes you forget, like, my life is just like everybody else's. We just happen to have food allergies on top of it. And everybody has their thing, is what I say. Like, everybody has their struggle that they have to deal with. Some of us have more than other people. And being authentic means a whole lot, but you can get burnt out so easily. You can feel like you're being pushed in the wrong direction. And I think you're 100% right. Like, I like to see the numbers grow. I like to see that people are, resonating with me. And that's what I kind of look at as my followers. Obviously my content's resonating with you because you're subscribed. But I don't like to compare myself, because if I compare myself like with other people, and looking at the numbers, because there's a lot of people out there that do that. They just look at the numbers and they're like, I don't want to work with you. I don't want to collaborate. And for me, and I think I speak for you as well, collaboration on this platform is not about, for me, the numbers or spreading out. If I get to reach a couple extra people because I've talked to you today, or they resonate with you, that is awesome, because that means that there's a connection. But I want the real connection. And Yeah. So you brought up a lot of points, yeah, as far as creativity. So what can we look forward to, like things that you have planned coming up? Anything that you can kind of let us know other than the podcast, or maybe go into more of the podcast?
Yeah, so how I get creative is like seeing what people are doing on outside of the allergy world and trying to put that into my content creation. So I don't like, yes, I want to share with people what it's like for the allergies, but I am always preaching to a choir. Like I am always telling people about my allergies to people who deal with allergies. And yes, that's great because when, the kids grow up and they come on Instagram and they see someone, oh, you do this, great, that's wonderful. But I'm getting older now, and a lot of kids who are growing up will probably look to people who are a bit younger, who understand. And, Instagram wasn't around when I was in my 20s, like early 20s. So yeah, like I don't have any, I don't know, stories about what it was like when I was single or going out clubbing, or like, I don't have any of those content, there. So they're probably going to look to people who, yeah, are doing that. But what I want is to bring also to show people who are outside of the world, the allergy world, that we all have like similarities. So to see what's trending outside of the allergy world and then to bring it into the allergy world and see like we're similar, we all have the same kind of struggles, but like you said, we all just have struggles. Right now mine is allergies, but I also had a stroke when I was 24. So sometimes I'm like, how do I fit my issues with my stroke and allergies, because they're not linked, but like that's just me. Like as a person, I have different facets of myself. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I just want to share more of that, but I feel like I am a niche. So I'm trying more to bring in the outside world into our world. And I guess like that's where my content is going. But what the biggest thing for me is to do more advocacy. So right now, I'm sure you've seen that a lot of social media is like stopping people on the streets. Like you see all these videos about like, stopping people on the street and asking them questions and things like that. And sometimes I'm like, that's a bit much, because I don't want to be on social media talking about something that I don't know about or whatever. But I do sometimes want to put myself out there and film things and like try to bring awareness to people who don't know about allergies, and to bring awareness to like how we're all the same. Like you wouldn't be able to pick out somebody who has allergies in a lineup, but a lot of the time people think that we are, I don't know, nerdy or, boring or fussy or, all of these things. So I'm kind of like, do I just put myself out there and get people to see like, this is what somebody who has allergies looks like. This is what somebody who has allergies looks like. This is what, and how do you use an EpiPen? Like, and they don't know. So, okay, at least then I can tell one person how to use an EpiPen. Like, so kind of things like that. So just more advocacy, but alongside of advocacy in the real world comes a lot of anxiety, which I have suffered from before, not just allergy anxiety, but just general anxiety. And so putting yourself out there can be really anxiety inducing. So it's probably the reason why I just haven't done that in the past, because I feel like, oh gosh, like, what if they, I don't know, say something horrible to me and I start crying? Like, it's just kind of, that's kind of where my mind goes. But I'm trying more and more and more, especially knowing that like I have the knowledge. Like, you know what I mean? I'm very uniquely qualified to talk about allergies. So mm-hmm. I feel like that is something where I could do mm-hmm. if you want to make change, is just put yourself out there. So that's where I'm going this year, is just putting myself out there, whether it's on YouTube, in a podcast. Right now I'm posting online every single day, apart from I think Saturday or Sunday. But I feel like the more I put myself out there, the more like one day it will change the mind of somebody. And
right. Yeah. And I think what you're approaching at is the fact that you're just showing your true authentic self, and you're reaching for advocacy and educating people beyond the allergy world. Because like you said, you're preaching to the choir when we have, and it's great to have those connections where you have somebody that is 31 years of age, at the same age as you, living in a town across from you, or maybe across, the pond. And it's great to have those connections, but it's also cool to show people that we're more than our allergies. And, the fact that you're a stroke survivor, plus living food allergy life. Like that's amazing to me. You are just amazing to me. You always have been. I think what you're doing is very important. And I think sometimes you just got to take a break and come back. And you, it sounds like you have come back 100 times stronger than you were before. And you may not have seen all of your strength, but all of us that have love you have really seen your strength.
Thank you. That's so kind. Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, you do need a break. And I used to take a break like once a month. But yeah, you do need like a proper break just from just not even thinking about it. You know, that's where creativity comes from,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to take a moment, step back.
You do. And I had to do that too. I mean, we were facing COVID, and you were like one of my bright lights during COVID because I was in the hospital sector. I loved coming to your parties during 2020. And it was just, it was a breath of fresh air. And like you said, I think a lot of us were stuck after COVID happened. We all kind of need to hit reset on our life sometimes. So
figure out what you wanted, I think. Like figure out what it is that you wanted, because I feel like we were in limbo for so long. And then it's like, what did I want? And I was really like, I need to get a job. Like that was for me. After COVID, I was like, I just have to get a job. I have to get a job. And then I got a job. And since that, every job that I've had was not right for me because I just needed to get a job. And I think with COVID, I went freelance. I was writing articles. I was posting online, and I was doing something that lit me up. And I loved it. It just didn't financially secure me. And I think, that was hard for me because I was like, I went from this place where I was at home all day with my mom because we lived together for a few months, and I was writing, articles for allergy magazines, and I was freelancing for the Free From Food Awards, and I was posting online every day and, doing YouTube. And I felt like I was really in my element. And then when life happened and I realized that like I have to find a house and I have to, all of that, I just was so concerned about the money and trying to get to the money that I lost what filled me up inside. And I stopped writing, I stopped filming, I just stopped. And I think then over time that just derailed my creativity because I just couldn't get that back. And then I feel like right now, I know, like I said, I know where I'm going, that I'm like, okay, now that's not scary to me anymore. I'm financially secure. I know where I am. Like, I feel happy in my life. I feel like I have a balance of things. And now I'm like, okay, my brain is like, oh my God, like I'm literally walking down the street. I'm like, oh, that's such a good idea. That's such a good idea. And I'm like writing down my notes. That's such a good, and I'm like, it's too many ideas. That's why I'm posting every day, because it's just too many ideas that I'm like, I just have to get it out. I'm like, guys, do you think about this? Have you thought about that? What is that? So I think that, yeah, like I think that you, like, people really need to, like, obviously you have to take care of your money, your people, like all of that stuff, but remember that like taking care of you is also really important, and taking care of what's inside. And like, it doesn't have to be Instagram, it doesn't have to be social media, but what do you need to do to fill this up? Because if you're not doing that, nothing else really like matters, because you won't be yourself. You're not going to be yourself if you don't like make sure that you're taking care of yourself.
Exactly. And at the same time, you still got to eat and have, things going on in your life. You got to take care of yourself. You are the number one important person.
Yeah, nothing gets done if you're not taking care of yourself.
So what you were talking about too, having to find a job, switch and that kind of thing. And we talked about it for a second before we hit record. So what are you doing now? Like, I know you're doing the social media stuff, but what are you doing for your day-to-day job, and how are you dealing with your food allergies and just, your life in general?
So, I mean, when I first started the blog and Instagram, I was a nanny, just come back from drama school in America. And I was like, you know what, I really need to share my life, allergy life, with people because things are crazy. And so that's what I did. And I had 4 kids I was looking after, and I was teaching them about EpiPens and allergies. And I basically shared our life together and shared, I was cooking for them, I was baking for them. And I basically just became like, I don't know, like an allergy mom basically, but like me having allergies because they didn't have any allergies. Yeah, I wanted to share my life with allergies and, you know, the things, and meet people as well. Because I realized when I got online that there were people who had allergies like me. And I thought, actually, I really did think, and you guys, if you have multiple food allergies, you think this is crazy. But I really did believe I was the only one in the world. Like growing up, I really did. There were some people who had an allergy to nuts or something like that I met along the way. But I really thought that I was the only one that had like multiple food allergies. Right. And I thought, you know, and also, I mean, we can touch on this later, but I also thought I was going to die at 16. Like, I really believed that. Like, I said to my mom throughout my whole life, I was like, when I got to my 16th birthday, I cried. I was like, what? Like, actually, I made it. Like, and then I got to 17 and then 18. And every year I'm just like, I'm still here. Like, and obviously every year allergy world grew. But so going back to when I was 23, I had 4 kids I was looking after, and I was trying to figure out how to live in a house with 4 children, 2 parents, and with my allergies. So I basically just started meal prepping. That's how I got through it. And I learned how to live a life with allergies whilst being around allergies. Because most of my life, people just didn't use my allergens around me. So I wanted to share with people, like, this is how I'm managing to deal with my multiple food allergies, but while lots of people are eating them around me. So that's what I did. And then I wasn't really sure where my career was going to go. I knew I wasn't going to be an actor anymore, but I didn't know where my career was going to go. And I basically was with that family up until the pandemic. Apart from the year when I had my stroke, I took a year off and then I came back to them. But apart from that, I was with them for about 6 years. And after the pandemic, I thought, yeah, I'll be a freelancer. I'll do this and do that. But then I realized I actually really love nannying. So I decided to go back, and I went with 2 families, and it didn't really work out. It wasn't the way that like my other family was. It wasn't as, I mean, I'm not going to get into like the details of it, but we weren't aligned in our philosophies of looking after children. And so I really didn't know what to do. And then I met the family that I am in with now, and we've really aligned on like how we handle the children, but also like, it's the same thing. Like, they eat allergens around me all the time. Like, they come home and they get a nut handful and eat it while I'm in front of them. And if I hadn't have had that family when I was 23, I don't think I would have handled that very well now. But I work with my allergens every single day. Yeah, I like to show that. I like to be like, this is what I do. Not to say it's not risky. I mean, I haven't had an allergy in 10 years, knock on wood. So I haven't had an anaphylactic reaction. So hopefully, like, that, what I'm doing works for me. So yes, so I'm still a nanny, which I just love. I love it. Like, I've always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but I realize now that I just like being a nanny because they get to pay for everything. And, you know, I just get to be, you know, cooking and cleaning and looking after the children, which is what I love to do. But I also qualified to be a personal trainer last year. So I'm also an online personal trainer. So I do that while the kids are in school. And I love to have lots of things on the fire, kind of thing. And so I'm now able to take the time during the day to post online and get more creative and have content. And I really love my days now. And I haven't had that in about 3 years. So it's been really nice to just like every day I get home and I'm like, I actually really like my day. Like, I actually really liked it. Like, I don't have any complaints at the end of the day. And I think that's such a joy and a privilege that I have now. And I don't think many people can say that. So yeah, I'm just very happy. And my anxiety has reduced so much. And I feel like that's now why I can go out and, you know, put myself out there, because I just don't have the anxiety that I had before. That's a long-winded way of saying, like, you can cut that out. And I'll just say, like, so yeah, I'm a nanny now. And I'm also an online personal trainer.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah, actually, everything that you said is priceless. Yes, to be happy and content with life is priceless. So I'm very happy for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we have so many other topics to go on to do another podcast. So I'm so excited because there's like, I want to talk about that one time, about that one time.
I mean, I'm happy to come back.
Good. You're definitely always welcome back. I will say this in part, when it comes to like working with your food allergies and bridging that and finding out what works for you is so huge. And for me, I used to work in a kitchen all the time, but then I know we haven't talked in a while, so you may not know this, but I've had to actually back away from a regular kitchen because I got so sensitive to a lot of my food allergens. So, everybody's different and you have to do what works for you. So I love the fact that you pointed it out that this is what works for me. So.
And also like that's really like just to touch on that just quickly, I've only recently found out that my asthma gets triggered by lentil steam. So I'm anaphylactic to lentils, but I've never really like been in a nanny house where they've actually cooked lentils. Like I'm quite like it's quite a standard British food that normally they're cooked. Whereas in the last couple of families, they've been very legume heavy. And so I have been around steamed lentils and my asthma gets triggered so much. So it's not anaphylactic, but I'm coughing, I have to go out the room, like I need fresh air. And I didn't know that I could react to my steamed allergens. But now I'm like, oh, that's a bit scary because like now I feel like then I can't really be around it. So that it feels like more of another barrier that I have to cross. So now I have to make sure that like my family, if they are going to cook the steamed lentils, like please tell me so I can go out the room. Like it's now something else I have to manage, which I never even considered that before because I never thought nothing's airborne that I know of, except now something is triggering me. So I think over time things will change and wean, and you kind of just have to make sure like am I okay with that? Am I okay with the situation? So like maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago, you'd be okay with that situation, but now your body has changed or you're getting older. And like, I know that now getting older, things are changing so much. Like, I think that like I have less tolerance now for people to, I don't know, walk all over me allergy wise, not allergy wise. I just have less of the tolerance. So I think sometimes you have less tolerance to be around your allergens as you get older because you're like, why am I putting myself at risk? Like, I don't need this, So I think it's really good for you to take a step back if you feel like this is not right for me.
Exactly. But we're going to wrap this episode up. And so I always like to kind of give the floor to you, my guests. You can either talk about something that you feel like we didn't get to that you really want to make sure that is said, or you can do just a ending thought.
I think not anything to get through, but I think the big thing that I like to share with people is basically what we just said now, is to make sure that you're doing what you're doing for you. Because sometimes I know what's right for me, and then I do go online or I do talk to people and they're like, well, I do this. And I think, oh, maybe I'm being a bit too strict, or maybe I'm being a bit too intense with it. But then I go, no, but that's how I feel safe. And I think we can all share with you how to travel, how to go on dates, how to raise children with allergies, how to do this, but we're not living your life. So please remember, like, yes, find people that are similar to you so you feel that you're not alone, and find support completely. But if what I say about how I manage my food allergies and how I've lived my life with food allergies doesn't resonate with your life, don't take my advice. Please don't take my advice, because I'm not taking the advice of somebody that doesn't resonate with my life. Like with my boyfriend, I don't kiss him till it's at least 24 hours, maybe 48 hours, if he's eaten something I'm allergic to. And there are some people who are like, he just needs to brush his teeth and then it's fine. Great. Like if that works for you, that's totally fine. It doesn't work for me because my brain goes somewhere completely different. So, and also don't change your mind saying, oh, she waits 48 hours, now I should wait 48. No, don't change. If it works for you, it works for you. So I think the biggest thing for me is like a lot of the allergy world is very different to the world that's not allergy online, is that we give so much advice. We give so much advice. And it's great because the more people are getting diagnosed every single day. And so it's good to give advice. But please remember, if you're taking the advice, to remember that they are not living your life. No one manages allergies in your life better than you. Like no one. So there's no way I'm managing it better. I've just had 30 years of experience. And I've had 30 years of experience in a completely different world than what this world is now. I think if I grew up now, I probably would feel a lot safer. So please take people's advice, but do with it how you see fit. Yeah. I think that's it. I didn't need to end it. Like, that's it.
That's fine. It was a fantastic ending. It's definitely, yes, pick and choose what works for you. So yeah. Well, I guess it's about time to say goodbye. Lindi, you know, I just adore you. And thank you so much for coming onto the show. I'll have all the links down below when you're listening back to this podcast, whether on YouTube or any of the platforms. Please make sure to share, like, subscribe, check out the Allergy Table. Like I said, everything will be linked down below. And we will talk to y'all next time. Bye.